We've documented his greatest moments to some of his worst. From the highs to the lows, Gohan has never failed to be an exceedingly interesting character for us to discuss. And while he hasn't participated as much as we would have liked during Super's run, recently a fire has returned to Gohan's eyes, which has led many fans to claim that he is stronger now than he ever has been. With this series, I want to bring you the most detailed, fact-bearing analysis I can. And while I am pleased with my previous Power Level series entry with Gohan, there were one or two fatal errors that made the end figure completely inaccurate. We are here to rectify that today and show you why Gohan is in fact much stronger than I previously stated. I'm totally not Mark, and this is the Power Level series. Episode 5.5, Son Gohan. Hey! Today we will focus on Dragon Ball Super primarily. But before that, I want to rectify something that has bothered me hugely since I uploaded the Gohan Power Level series episode. So let's venture back to the Cell saga, the moment Cell touches down on the battlefield to absorb the androids. At this point in my last video, I became more anecdotal than fact-bearing, and I apologize for this. While there was evidence to support the theory that Cell's absorption ability worked on an addition scale, there were clear indicators that Cell was designed with absorbing the androids in mind, meaning the androids would yield much more than a simple addition-based increase. But I am getting way ahead of myself here. Let's set the scene and take it from there. Currently, Imperfect Cell is clocking in around 400 million. Piccolo and Android 17 are standing at around 360 million, and finally Android 18 at roughly 330 million. So taking into account that the androids are more valuable to Cell than Vegeta, Goku, or any of the other stronger fighters, it's fair to say that they yield a more satisfying result. My use of the word satisfying here is intentional. There are many out there that believe Perfect Cell has a pre-designed max power once he absorbs both androids. I, however, disagree with that, and I'll tell you why. I'm sure many of you out there are familiar with Team 4-Star's work on the hit parody Dragon Ball Z Abridged, in which Cell is portrayed as a nefarious, sexual innuendo-spewing deviant. However, while hilarious, it is actually much closer to Cell's character than you might think. Cell continuously refers to his complete self throughout the series as, quote-unquote, perfect, which by definition means cannot be improved upon. And that simply, in Cell's case at least, is not true. So why this logical fallacy with Cell? Well, it simply boils down to nature. Cell is a completely biological being, albeit artificial. And like any biological creature, he has needs or instincts he must either follow or suppress. In Cell's case, he follows them. In the real world, humans don't simply want sex. It's much more than that. Our instincts, our bodies push us in that direction. This is an evolutionary trait to preserve our species. It's not a choice. It's in our genetic makeup to pursue this. In Cell's case, he was designed by Dr. Gero. On a cellular level, he needs to absorb these androids. Nothing consumes him more. So his goal is now clear. Become strong enough to defeat and then absorb the androids. The point I'm trying to make here is that while the androids yield a more powerful result, he is not necessarily doing it for that reason. He wants, needs, desires to simply be complete. With that clear, once Android 17 is absorbed, Cell attains his second form, Semi-Perfect Cell. In this form, he is clearly stronger than Android 16, who serves to juxtapose how strong Cell used to be. With this, Cell is at least over twice as strong as Android 16, who we now know has a power level in the region of 400 million. With this known to us, Cell must be in the region of 1 billion, meaning absorbing an android leads to a 2.5 times increase. If we multiply it by a further 2.5, we get 2.5 billion in his Perfect Cell form, capable of pushing it to 3 billion when going all out. And why is this figure significant? Well, this means that Super Saiyan Grade 2 Vegeta's power level must fall somewhere in the region of 1 billion and 2.5 billion around this time, veering much closer to the 1 billion mark when he faced Semi-Perfect Cell. So I would estimate him to be in the region of 1.25 billion, significantly stronger than Semi-Perfect Cell at this time, but not anywhere close to Perfect Cell. At this time, it's worth noting that Vegeta's final flash to Perfect Cell is not indicative of his power level at all. In previous episodes, I have cited this quote which states that the Z fighters, or people who can control their ki, are capable of amplifying their strength in huge bursts. This is exactly what the Kamehameha, Final Flash, and Makanko Sapo are designed for, to amplify their user's existing power to a heightened state. Now, what does all this have to do with anything, I hear you questioning? Well, it's all set up for this moment, when Gohan and Goku exit the hyperbolic time chamber. Gohan and Goku at this stage in this series have attained full mastery of the Super Saiyan form, or as I explained in my previous video, Super Saiyan Grade 4. This next part is important and I missed it in my last video. Goku and Gohan stop off at Korin's place. While there, Goku requests Korin to compare his power to Cell's. Goku in that moment powers up to half strength. That instance is hugely important when it comes to scaling this portion of the series. With half of his full power, Goku amazes Piccolo, Trunks, and Vegeta, thus meaning that Goku, while at half power, is stronger than Vegeta, who we have currently sitting at around 1.25 billion. This means that Gohan is around 2.5 billion or more before transforming into the Super Saiyan 2 form. As stated in my previous video, the Super Saiyan 2 multiplier is times 2, which means that if we take Gohan's existing power level that we have estimated as being in the region of 2.5 billion in his Super Saiyan 2 state, Gohan emits a power level greater than 5 billion. Right, so now that we have this more accurate figure to bounce off of, let's take a look at the rest of the series and I'll try to keep it brief where I can. Following the collapse of the Cell games, the Earth returns to an era of peace for 7 years, during which Gohan trains either seldomly or not at all. In my previous video, I reduced his power by 25%. I based this off of a quote from Vegeta referring to Gohan's strength at this given time, bringing his power during the early Buu saga to that of 3.75 billion when channeling Super Saiyan 2. At this level, Gohan is floored by Majin Buu and remains lifeless until he is transported to the world of the Kais, where his power is unlocked by the Elder Kai. With his power having been unlocked, Goku is simply blown away by how powerful Gohan has become. This should be indicative that Gohan at this time is now stronger than Goku. Super Buu at this moment in time has a power level of around 24 billion. I know it sounds insane, but trust me, this will make sense once I explain my process during Goku's power level series, if I ever get around to it. Once everything is scaled and taken into account, Gohan in his ultimate form is fully capable of taking out Super Buu with relative ease, putting him in the region of 30 billion or more at the end of the Buu saga. Which finally brings us to Dragon Ball Super. And this, if you believe it, is where things start to get complicated. Before I begin, I want it to be known that I won't be using any information provided by the movie Battle of Gods. This movie was created without the future of the series in mind and as a result won't be taken into account when talking about Dragon Ball Super. However, as it pertains to Resurrection F, which was released in 2015, mere months before Dragon Ball Super was released, it seems fair to state that this movie is more representative of Toriyama's frame of mind when preparing his notes for the first 2 arcs of the show. So what nowadays counts as canon to the series Dragon Ball Super? Well, Akira Toriyama is involved in the production of both the movie Resurrection F, the anime Dragon Ball Super, and the Dragon Ball Super manga adaptation. It's been stated in past interviews by Toyotaro, the main illustrator behind the Dragon Ball Super manga, that Toriyama hands him words on paper as the outline for the plot, sort of like signposts to hit as the story progresses. It's fair to assume, given that Dragon Ball Super has a team of writers, that if Toriyama was to be involved, he would give them the same bullet points as he gave Toyotaro to create the manga. But why is this significant? Well, it means that if we look at the commonalities between Resurrection F and the series adaptation of Dragon Ball Super, we should be able to find what is the material written by Akira Toriyama and what is formulated by the Toei writing staff. That said, once we pass the Resurrection F section of the story, I will only use the Dragon Ball Super anime's telling of the events, seeing as those are the events we are concerned with at the end of the day. Alrighty, so let's begin. The events of Dragon Ball Super take place roughly 4 years after the Majin Buu arc of Dragon Ball Z. During this time, Gohan has neglected to train, favoring his life as a scholar and family man during the Beerus Whis introduction on Earth. After the brief altercation that Gohan has with Beerus, Piccolo remarks at how, quote, even Gohan was beaten this easily. This could be indicative of Gohan at this time being the strongest warrior on the ship, far surpassing Piccolo. However, it should also be noted that we as the viewers have been given no indication that Piccolo knows how strong Vegeta currently is either. The ultimate form unlock provided by the Elder Kai is a topic of fierce debate in the fandom. Hopefully I can clear up a few misconceptions from this section of the story. From this quote, the Elder Kai describes his ability. He states, "With my psychic powers, I can take the hidden power which anyone has, no matter how amazing a master they may be, and draw it way out above their limits." This is a hugely important quote, and I thank Herms and the team over at Kaizenshu for providing these accurate translations from the original manga. This quote tells us that no matter the recipient of the power-up, they will be able to exceed their limits. This is important as it means regardless of how little training Gohan does, as long as he is able to tap into this form, he has his ultimate power. This quote is equally as important and telling. While it shows Goku fangirling over Gohan's newly acquired power, it also contains a small crucial piece of information from the Elder Kai pertaining to the Super Saiyan transformation and the ultimate form. After Goku comments on Gohan's appearance having not changed hardly at all, and not even having gone Super Saiyan, the Elder Kai chimes in by stating, "Transforming isn't good. That Super Saiyan, whatever it's called, is the wrong way of doing things." Meaning Gohan's ultimate form is the max and therefore he does not require the Super Saiyan form at all. And I hope that's cleared up a few misconceptions amongst the fanbase. What I hope for people to understand from this is that there is no evidence to support the theory that Gohan can stack Super Saiyan onto his ultimate form. In fact, there is evidence to dispute this theory from the original writings. Just so we have this straight, according to the manga, Gohan's ultimate form is his full potential pushed past its limits, specifically without the Super Saiyan transformation. If Gohan was capable of utilizing his ultimate form in tandem with his Super Saiyan form, why would he not have used it to defeat Majin Buu when they fought? Put quite simply, that theory just doesn't make sense, and I hope everyone is now on the same page. Moving forward to the Resurrection F arc, another topic of contention in the fanbase is the statement Gohan makes referring to Tagoma. Gohan states, and I quote, "He's hiding his power and might be as strong as me at my best," referring to Tagoma after he has powered up. Many people believe that statement is indicative of Tagoma being as strong as Ultimate Gohan from the Buu saga. And my response to this might prove to be unsatisfactory for some of you, but in truth, I do not believe that to be the case, not for one solitary second. In fact, I don't believe Tagoma exists this long into the Resurrection of F's story written by Akira Toriyama, and I have some evidence to support my theory. The Dragon Ball Super manga and the Resurrection F movie both have Tagoma killed by Frieza once he was resurrected on board his own ship. If we compare the commonalities between all of these tellings of the story, one glaring difference is the inclusion of Tagoma's portrayal on the battlefield of Earth. And there are so many things wrong with that scene in particular, it's actually frightening. It completely disregards the story's established logic for the sake of a nostalgic callback. Allow me to break this down. Looking at this quote from episode 21, we see Sorbet referring to Tagoma as being stronger than the Ginyu Force, and I assume he means the strongest of them, Captain Ginyu. This statement serves to only prepare the audience for Captain Ginyu's arrival, which again did not feature in any other telling except the animes. Captain Ginyu is confirmed to have a power level of 120,000 in volume 24 of the manga, and that is the power level that Sorbet is referring to. At the beginning of episode 22, Tagoma takes an unguarded blow from Piccolo to the face while smiling. In episode 22 at 12:21, Tagoma punches out Ten Shinhan, Krillin, Piccolo, Gohan, and Master Roshi. Now we know that Ginyu cannot read power levels and so would have dealt the same force blow to all of the fighters, which begs the question why Master Roshi wasn't killed. So when you say Tagoma is as strong as Gohan's best, as strong as Captain Ginyu, and Master Roshi is able to take an unguarded punch the same way Piccolo and Gohan are,
I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
And so I hope you can see my problem in including this section for consideration. The Tagoma character was created by Akira Toriyama, and he was used in Toriyama's story. However, Toriyama wanted to use this character to display Frieza's sadistic side in both the manga and the movie when he kills Tagoma for speaking out of turn. With that information, it is my belief that this scene was not included by Akira Toriyama and should be considered as filler in the series. The writing staff at Toei simply took liberties with Akira Toriyama's bullet points, expanding upon them, and as a result we saw many inconsistencies. If you look at these episodes, a large portion of them are flashbacks from Dragon Ball Z. And really, that's the main reason I believe they went this route. It's well documented that Dragon Ball Super's animation suffered hugely during this time, which was 100% down to bad scheduling decisions on Toei's part. This was a way for them to buy time for other episodes to be made using as little new animation as they could. When I take everything I just stated into account, I cannot take this scene into consideration when calculating Gohan's power level. Either all of it's good to use or none of it is good to use at all. There isn't much more to talk about when it pertains to Gohan. As I've already stated, Gohan's ultimate form most likely is a solid, unwavering power that is indifferent to the user's current level. We are currently on episode 84 of Dragon Ball Super. Gohan has still not been seen to re-access his ultimate form yet. However, as stated in my previous video, in the new opening of the show, we can clearly see Gohan gaining access to his ultimate form once again. I'm sorry that this wasn't the conventional power level series episode, but I felt things needed to be corrected and made clear for my last video. Plus, the next episode is going to be huge, so I need time to iron out the kinks on that one. That said, I really hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to leave a like, and if you did enjoy this episode, feel free to subscribe for more Dragon Ball analysis and content. This has been the Power Level series, kind of. I'm Totally Not Mark. Thank you so much for watching.